when I'm gay, it's just, I am gay, you know? So me not, you know, showing that I'm gay would be me, you know, hiding my hair.
They sang about love, heartbreak, and rebellion, but behind the music, they hid a secret. Some denied the rumors, others left cryptic clues, and some were outed against their will. From rock legends to pop icons, the music industry has long forced artists to stay in the closet. In this video, we're counting down the top 30 lesbian closet cases in music history. And some names will shock you. Let's dive in. Kicking off our list at number 30 is Rosetta Tharpe, the godmother of rock and roll. Known as the godmother of rock and roll, Sister Rosetta Tharpe was a pioneering gospel singer and electric guitarist who laid the foundation for rock and roll. She began recording in 1938 with hits like Rock Me and was one of the first gospel artists to perform at Carnegie Hall. While her public persona remained deeply tied to the church, within the industry, she was known to have relationships with both men and women. Her most significant romantic relationship was with fellow gospel singer Mary Knight, with whom she toured in the late 1940s. Despite marrying her manager Russell Morrison in a highly publicized stadium wedding in 1951, her legacy remained intertwined with both her groundbreaking music and her hidden personal life. While Rosetta Tharpe shaped the future of rock, at number 29, we have Queen Latifah, a trailblazer who has long faced speculation about her private life. A groundbreaker in hip-hop and entertainment, Queen Latifah has been one of the most successful female rappers, singers, and actresses. How did a teenage rapper from New Jersey evolve into one of Hollywood's most versatile stars? She first gained fame in the late 1980s with empowering songs like Unity, which criticized misogyny in hip-hop. She later transitioned into acting and became one of Hollywood's most versatile stars. Despite years of speculation, she remained extremely private about her personal life. However, in 2021, she publicly acknowledged her longtime partner, Ebony Nichols, and their son during her BET Awards acceptance speech. While she never made a formal come-out statement, this confirmation solidified what many had long suspected about her sexuality. While Queen Latifah made her mark in hip-hop, our next artist ruled the pop charts of the 60s.
You both look amazing. So is this sort of like date night? Like, what's happening?
Well, Ebony asked me out on a date, right?
I was like, we're going to the Met Ball. Make it happen.
And I wanted to be a hero in my household, and so...
At number 28, we have Leslie Gore, who later embraced her identity after years of industry silence. As a teenage pop sensation in the 1960s, Leslie Gore delivered hits like It's My Party and You Don't Own Me, the latter becoming a feminist anthem. Though she knew early on that she was attracted to both boys and girls, she didn't fully explore this side of herself until college. Her sexuality became public knowledge in the early 1970s when an anonymous letter outed her to her parents after she was spotted at a gay bar. From that point forward, Gore lived openly as a lesbian. She was in a committed relationship with her partner, Lois Sasson, for 33 years until her passing in 2015. While Leslie Gore found her voice later in life, our next artist lived boldly despite the times. At number 27, we have Bessie Smith, whose music and lifestyle defied conventions of the 1920s. Dubbed the Empress of the Blues, Bessie Smith was one of the most successful and influential blues singers of her time. While she was married to Jack G in 1923, their relationship was fraught with infidelity on both sides. Smith was known to have affairs with women, particularly within her touring troupe, and lived her life unapologetically. Though she never labeled herself, modern perspectives suggest she would likely be considered bisexual. After her untimely death in a car accident in 1937, her contributions to blues and jazz remain legendary, with Janis Joplin even purchasing a headstone for her unmarked grave in 1970. Speaking of her grave, in 1970, after her death, when her grave remained unmarked, Janis Joplin, a fellow blues icon, purchased a headstone for her, ensuring Smith's legacy wasn't forgotten. Some believe this gesture could have been more than just a tribute, possibly acknowledging an unspoken connection between the two women that was never publicly revealed. Bessie Smith challenged norms in the 1920s, but decades later, another artist carved her own path with soulful storytelling. At number 26, we have Joan Armatrading, a folk rock legend known for her deeply personal lyrics and lifelong privacy about her personal life. Joan Armatrading broke barriers as the first Black British female singer, songwriter, to achieve major success. But how did she rise from a childhood in the Caribbean to becoming one of the most respected musicians in the UK? Her 1976 album, featuring the hit Love and Affection, made her a rising star. While she always kept her personal life intensely private, her deeply emotional songs, often written in gender-neutral language, resonated strongly with lesbian audiences. Though she rarely addressed her sexuality, in 2011, she publicly entered into a civil partnership with her longtime partner, Maggie Butler, marking the first time she acknowledged her romantic life in any capacity. Joan Armatrading kept her private life under wraps, much like our next legend.
Now if I can feel the soul in my eyes.
At number 25, Billie Holiday. Billie Holiday, or Lady Day, was a jazz legend known for her raw, emotional vocal style. Her autobiography left out much of her personal life due to legal threats, but historians and close friends have confirmed that she had relationships with both men and women. One of her most notable rumored affairs was with actress Tallulah Bankhead. Holiday, who navigated the underground queer scene of the Prohibition era, faced many hardships, including drug addiction and legal troubles, but her influence on music remains unparalleled. Billie Holiday's personal life was the subject of much speculation.
Together for the winter.
Tired of expensive, low-effort scriptwriters for your YouTube channel? Autoscripter.ai is the ultimate solution. Say goodbye to low-quality, poorly retention amateur scripts that fail to generate thousands of views for your channel. At a fraction of the cost, Autoscripter.ai helps your videos go viral. In just 3 steps, Autoscripter.ai creates a polished script tailored to your needs. Just input your title concept, select your tone and style. The intuitive interface makes editing and refining effortless, fast, smart, and trusted by hundreds of satisfied users who have already discovered the amazing tool. Start your free trial today and watch Autoscripter.ai transform your YouTube channel. Just click the link in the video description below now. Number 24, Tracy Chapman, who has kept her relationships private despite being a powerful voice in music for decades. Folk rock singer Tracy Chapman skyrocketed to fame in 1988 with her hit Fast Car, a song that remains relevant decades later. While she has always been extremely private about her personal life, it was later revealed that she had a romantic relationship with the Color Purple author Alice Walker in the 1990s. Chapman has never publicly discussed her sexuality, choosing instead to focus on her music and activism, including LGBTQ+ rights and AIDS awareness. Despite her silence, she is widely recognized as a queer icon. Tracy Chapman has kept her personal life under wraps,
There's endless possibilities of love, and it's something that actually grows in your own heart.
One of the great loves of your life that you write about is Tracy Chapman.
Number 23, Joan Jett. A pioneer of punk and rock, Joan Jett first gained fame with the Runaways before launching her solo career with hits like I Love Rock and Roll and Bad Reputation. Though she has never explicitly confirmed or denied her sexuality, her former bandmate, Lita Ford, stated in her memoirs that multiple members of the Runaways, including Jett, were interested in women. Jett has consistently supported the LGBTQ+ community, frequently sporting feminist and lesbian pride symbols. Despite never labeling herself publicly, her music and image have made her a rock icon for queer audiences. At number 22, we have Lucille Bogan, whose raw and explicit lyrics in the 1930s blues scene left a lasting impact and hinted of her defiance of societal expectations. One of the most controversial blues singers of her time, Lucille Bogan, pushed boundaries with lyrics so explicit that they remain shocking even by today's standards. But what drove her to be so unapologetically bold in an era when women's voices were often silenced? Her songs tackled taboo subjects like sexuality, betrayal, and heavy drinking, topics rarely addressed so openly in the 1920s and 1930s. Then, in 1935, she recorded BD Women's Blues, where BD stood for bull dykes, a slang term for masculine-presenting lesbians. This makes her one of the earliest artists to openly sing about LGBTQ+ themes. Though little is known about her personal relationships, her music suggests she had first-hand experience with the queer community, making her a groundbreaking figure in blues history.
Well, it'll make you cry. I'm gonna turn back my mattress and let you all.
Next, at number 21, we have Janis Ian, whose honest songwriting about love and identity challenged norms in the 1960s and 70s. Janis Ian first gained attention in the 1960s as a teenage songwriter, later reaching stardom with At 17 in 1975. She was married to Portuguese filmmaker Tino Sargo before ending the relationship in 1983. After meeting Patricia Schneider in 1989, Ian embraced her identity and came out publicly in 1993 with the release of her album Breaking Silence. She and Schneider married in 2003, and Ian has since become an advocate for LGBTQ+ rights while continuing her career as a musician and writer.
Needs with a guarantee of company and haven.
At number 20, we have Michelle Ndegeocello, a genre-defying artist known for her bold exploration of sexuality. Michelle Ndegeocello is a genre-blending musician who has openly discussed her relationships with women. She was one of the first Black artists to be openly queer in mainstream music. Her music touches on race, sexuality, and politics, making her a powerful voice in LGBTQ+ history.
I entitled the record Bitter just because you can't appreciate what's good without experiencing the bitter. Or in the Buddhist philosophy, it's 10,000 joys, 10,000 sorrows. And I just chose to acknowledge the pain for once that is involved with being in love. Yeah, I feel like I get on an interview and it's like, hey, you're the big old black dyke who doesn't have any hair, you know, and that's like the first thing they focus on. And it's just like, that's just so boring.
At number 19, we have Dusty Springfield, a pop icon whose personal life remained a mystery despite her undeniable talent and impact on the music scene. Dusty Springfield was one of the biggest stars in the 1960s, but her love life was shrouded in secrecy. She was rumored to have had relationships with several women, including singer Norma Tanega. In a rare moment of honesty, Springfield once said, "Many other people say I'm bent, and I've heard it so many times that I've almost learned to accept it." While she never officially came out, those who knew her understood that she was not straight. Unfortunately, the pressures of fame and the stigma of being a lesbian in the 1960s led her to battle addiction and mental health struggles.
The Daryl Hall bit?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was doing the album in Nashville, and I had made this song that you just played, Wherever Would I Be, that's right. I was doing that as a solo, and it became apparent to me that there were definite gaps where it would benefit from having a male voice on there, and a warm male voice.
At number 18, we have Bessie Smith, the Empress of the Blues, whose powerful voice and bold presence broke barriers while her personal life remained shrouded in secrecy. Bessie Smith was one of the most influential blues singers of all time, and she lived a life that defied conventions. Though she was married to a man, she was known to have had relationships with women, including some of her backup dancers. The music industry in the 1920s and 1930s tried to erase queerness, but Smith was unapologetic in her desires. Some of her lyrics even hinted at same-sex attraction, making her one of the earliest examples of LGBTQ+ representation in music. At number 17, we have Marlene Dietrich, whose androgynous style and secretive relationships kept her at the center of Hollywood's most fascinating rumors. Marlene Dietrich was an actress and singer who blurred gender norms, both in her personal life and on stage. Though she was mostly known for her romances with men, she also had affairs with women, including actress Greta Garbo and writer Mercedes de Acosta. Dietrich often performed in men's suits and embraced androgyny, making her a queer icon long before such a term existed. While she never explicitly came out, her love life was an open secret in Hollywood.
Which actors from that period do you remember best?
The actors.
Which actors do you remember?
Which actress?
Actors or
Actors.
actors?
Well.
From the early Hollywood period.
Well, Garbo just had made the first talking picture. You see, I was not there during the silent days. I was only there doing the talking.
Well, immediately after they had started, yes.
Yes, she had just made her first talking film. So naturally, you all loved Garbo.
You mentioned Garbo, of course. Talking to Swedish audience, the Swedish audience would like to know, were you competitors?
No. Nobody was ever a competitor.
Is that
Not
true?
with Garbo, no.
Oh.
No.
At number 16, we have Linda Perry, whose powerful music and private life have made her a trailblazer in the industry. Linda Perry, the former lead singer for Four Non-Blonde, didn't just make waves with her distinctive voice, she became a powerhouse songwriter responsible for hits like Beautiful by Christina Aguilera. But how did she transition from a rebellious rock frontwoman to one of the most sought-after producers in the music industry? Early in her career, record labels pressured her to stay in the closet, fearing that being openly gay would hurt her success. Perry, however, refused to conform and eventually came out. Today, she is one of the most influential lesbian musicians in the industry, having worked with artists like Pink and Gwen Stefani.
Me, it's not that when I'm gay, it's just I am gay, you know? So me not, you know, showing that I'm gay would be me, you know, hiding my hair or tucking my arms. Like, it's just a part of who I am. I've been gay my whole life. I've been very, very proud of my choices. I love the person I'm becoming. You know, I'm still growing. And gay is not, you know, what's making me make decisions. It's just who I am. It's my preference. It's my choice. It's how I am. Now, when someone chooses not to explore that with other people, that really is just their choice. There's some people that are just very private. Me, I'll tell you everything. I'm such a big mouth. I think that sometimes when people are purposely choosing not to say something because out of fear, that's where things get a little difficult, you know, because if you are holding back or making decisions based on fear, then how are you truly giving to your art?
At number 15, we have Melissa Etheridge, whose open embrace of her sexuality broke barriers and solidified her as a rock icon. Melissa Etheridge is one of the few artists on this list who eventually came out, but her early career was spent in the closet. In the early 1980s, being openly gay in the music industry was a career risk, and Etheridge kept her relationships private. She finally came out in 1993 and has since been an outspoken advocate for LGBTQ+ rights. Her journey from the closet to being a vocal advocate serves as an inspiring example of how the industry has changed over time.
But hey, you've got reason to celebrate. You're a
Yes, I do.
newlywed,
I'm
baby.
married.
You
I
are
can
a
make that. I can
newlywed.
make
Yeah,
that joke.
you can make that joke.
Yay, yes. And for real married.
Yeah, I
Like,
know,
for real.
Linda and you started out as friends for a long time, right?
She's my best friend for over 10 years.
So when did it change? What was that moment when you went, you know what, this is more than a friendship?
Well, I tell you, after the last relationship, I went, never again. I'm never gonna, no, it's just not gonna ever happen. I can't afford it. I can't, I just, no. And so, but I was single with 4 children and needed help. And so I said, best friend, will you come? Because she did Nurse Jackie and she was living in New York. I said, will you come to LA and will you help me on your off time with my kids? And so she moved in, and it was all the stuff that you do after you kind of fall in love. It was all the stuff that worked, you know, and the friendship was there and the love. And one day I literally said, oh my God, where's the sippy cup? And she said, well, dear.
Next, at number 14, we have Jodie Foster, a celebrated actress whose reserved personal life kept many guessing, despite her iconic status in Hollywood. Though primarily known as an actress, Jodie Foster had a brief music career in the 1970s, releasing an album when she was a teenager. For years, she dodged questions about her sexuality, often giving vague answers, or only came out in 1913. But by that time, many had already assumed she was a lesbian. While she may not be a major figure in music, her inclusion in this highlights the struggles that many queer artists have faced in navigating their careers while staying true to themselves. After Jodie Foster's quiet yet impactful presence,
do you have a steady boyfriend?
No. No. I don't have time. And I suppose I don't think about it very much.
What kind of fellow would you like, really, when you do have time to get around to that?
I don't know. I suppose I would like somebody who understood my business.
At number 13, we have Katie Lang, whose distinctive voice and bold openness about her sexuality made her an icon in both country and pop music. Katie Lang is a Canadian singer known for her powerful voice and mix of country, pop, and jazz music. She became famous in the 1980s with songs like Constant Craving. She was also known for her unique style, refusing to fit into traditional gender roles with her short hair and suits. In 1992, she made headlines by coming out as a lesbian in an interview with The Advocate. This was a bold move at the time, as country music was not very accepting of LGBTQ+ artists. She has since become an icon in the LGBTQ+ community, using her platform to support gay rights. Despite some backlash in her early career, she continued making music and won multiple Grammy Awards. Lang has remained private about her relationships, but has never hidden her sexuality, inspiring many artists who came after her.
I think that if I were to change and were to compromise my comfort and my integrity just for the formalization of what an artist should be or what a woman should present herself like, I think it would be detrimental to my music, and I don't think it would be fair to my audience or myself.
Next, at number 12, we have Sophie B. Hawkins, a singer whose bold lyrics and openness about her sexuality made her an influential figure in the 90s music scene. Sophie B. Hawkins is an American singer-songwriter, known for hits like Damn, I Wish I Was Your Lover, and As I Lay Me Down. Her music blends pop, rock, and jazz influences. While she never liked strict labels, she has openly discussed her relationships with both men and women. In the 1990s, her LGBTQ plus topics were still controversial. She bravely talked about her attraction to women. She prefers to call herself omnisexual, meaning she loves people regardless of gender. Hawkins has been an outspoken advocate for LGBTQ plus rights and has lived authentically despite industry pressures. Over the years, she has continued to make music and has also focused on activism. Her openness has made her an inspiration to many, proving that artists don't have to fit into one category to succeed.
What about, I know you say you're omnisexual. What about when all the stuff comes out, like you're friends with Rosie, you've been linked to every famous, Jodie Foster, Rosie, I saw something, Martina. Oh yeah, Rosie was the main one that made headlines and was on Us Weekly, but I've seen things that say you've dated Jodie Foster, Martina Navratilova.
Wow.
Let's just pick any famous lesbian that was kind of...
At number 11, we have Ma Rainey, whose unapologetic authenticity in the blues laid the foundation for generations of artists to come. Ma Rainey was one of the first great blues singers in American history. Known as the Mother of the Blues, she was a powerful performer with songs full of raw emotions. But beyond her musical genius, what set her apart from other artists of her time? What many people didn't realize is that she was also one of the earliest musicians to sing about loving women. Her song Prove It On Me Blues clearly suggests that she was attracted to women, something extremely rare for that time. In her personal life, she was rumored to have relationships with women, even though she was married to a man. Unlike many artists who kept their sexuality a secret, Rainey expressed herself through her music. She paved the way for future Black LGBTQ plus musicians and remains a queer icon today.
Nobody called me. You sure got to prove it on me. Yeah.
Moving on to number 10, we have Chris Williamson, whose folk music and open activism made her a trailblazer for LGBTQ plus visibility in the music world. Chris Williamson is a folk singer who became famous in the 1970s for her groundbreaking album, The Changer and the Changed. This album became one of the most important records in the women's music movement, a genre created by and for lesbians. Unlike many artists of her time, Williamson did not hide her sexuality. She was open about being a lesbian when it was still risky to do so. Her music focused on themes of love, self-discovery, and empowerment, making her an inspiration for queer women everywhere. Over the years, she continued to create music and support LGBTQ plus activism. Her bravery and talent helped many people feel seen and heard, long before mainstream music accepted queer artists.
The rhythm, and the rhythm of the road. And as songwriters, you know that. The rhythms are everywhere. If you're on a train and you're writing a song, it's going to take the rhythm of the train.
Next, at number 9, we have Ani DiFranco, whose powerful lyrics and bold stance on sexuality have made her a defining figure in the alternative music scene. Ani DiFranco was a folk and music musician known for her raw, poetic lyrics and activism. She started her own record label, Righteous Babe Records, to maintain full control over her music. DiFranco has had relationships with both men and women, though she has never liked being put into a specific label. Many of her songs talk about love and gender in a way that breaks traditional norms. Throughout her career, she has spoken out for LGBTQ plus rights, feminism, and social justice. While she has been married to men, her open discussion of her relationships with women has made her an important figure in queer music history. She continues to inspire younger generations with her fearless approach to music and identity. While many tried to label her, she rejected strict definitions of sexuality, challenging both the music industry and society's expectations. Despite being in relationships with men, her openness about loving women made her a powerful queer icon.
The lives of women are beginning to matter, and that's just so extraordinary. It's funny just talking about being a mom, and I almost felt a little queasy describing my experience of patriarchy and the parameters that I've felt around myself and my sense of possibility, because...
Moving on to number 8, we have Chavela Vargas, whose hauntingly beautiful voice and fearless expression of her identity made her an icon in Latin American music. Chavela Vargas was a legendary Mexican singer known for her deep emotional voice and powerful ranchera music. In her early years, she dressed in men's clothing, refused to conform to traditional gender roles, and had relationships with women. However, she did not publicly come out as a lesbian until she was 81 years old. Vargas was rumored to have had relationships with famous women, including artist Frida Kahlo. Despite the conservative society she lived in, she became one of Mexico's most beloved singers. Her music, full of pain and passion, resonated with audiences across the world. In her later years, she openly embraced her queer identity, becoming an icon for LGBTQ+ communities in Latin America.
Campo Santo, no sé qué tienen las...
Coming in at number 7, we have Big Mama Thornton, whose powerful voice and bold attitude in the blues world challenged norms and set the stage for future generations. Big Mama Thornton was a blues singer, best known for recording Hound Dog before Elvis Presley made it famous. She had a rough, powerful voice and a commanding stage presence. Thornton was known for her masculine style, often wearing suits and rejecting traditional feminine norms. Many believe she had relationships with women, although she never publicly discussed her sexuality. She faced many challenges as a black, gender, non-conforming woman in the music industry, but never let that stop her. Her influence on rock and blues is undeniable, and she remains a symbol of strength and defiance for LGBTQ+ musicians today. At number 6, we have Suzi Quatro, whose rock and roll energy and groundbreaking role as a female bassist broke barriers in the male-dominated industry. Suzi Quatro didn't just play rock and roll, she shattered expectations in a male-dominated industry, proving that women could be just as bold, loud, and electrifying as their male counterparts. But what drove her to push against the rigid gender norms of the 1970s music scene? With her signature leather jumpsuits and bass guitar, she inspired future female rockers like Joan Jett. Though she has never openly identified as LGBTQ+, rumors about her relationships with women have followed her for years. She has always rejected labels, saying she doesn't believe in defining sexuality in strict terms. Whether or not she was in same-sex relationships, her fearless attitude and gender-bending style made her an LGBTQ+ icon. At number 5, we have June Millington, whose trailblazing work with the band Fanny shattered barriers and paved the way for women in rock music. June Millington was the lead guitarist for Fanny, one of the first all-female rock bands. She was openly lesbian and used her music to challenge stereotypes about women in rock. After Fanny disbanded, she became a major supporter of women's music and LGBTQ+ rights. She co-founded the Institute for the Musical Arts, a place that helped young female musicians. Her impact on women in rock and queer musicians is still felt today.
Then you add a little bit of spice, and that's another reason why I like it, so you get a little bit of that.
Coming in at number 4, we have Toshi Reagan, whose music and activism have made her a powerful voice in both the LGBTQ+ community and the worlds of folk and rock. Toshi Reagan is a folk and rock musician who has been an outspoken advocate for LGBTQ+ rights. She blends blues, gospel, and rock in her music while addressing social justice issues. Openly lesbian, she has never been afraid to speak about her identity or support other queer artists. Next at number 3, we have Alex Dobkin, whose trailblazing music and fearless portrayal of lesbian identity made her a pioneer in the folk music scene. Alex Dobkin was a folk singer known for writing songs specifically for lesbians. She is one of the first musicians to create music that openly celebrated queer women. In the 1970s, she became a key figure in the women's music movement. Her work helped create a safe space for lesbians in music.
And women's music to me is music which is by, for, and about women. It's not a sound. It's not any particular style. It's all styles. It's whatever women do about ourselves.
Next up at number 2, we have Laura Nyro, whose soulful songwriting and unique style left a lasting impact on music. Laura Nyro was a singer-songwriter who wrote hits for artists like Barbra Streisand. Though she had relationships with men, she later fell in love with a woman. She never publicly labeled her sexuality, but her queer identity became more visible in her later years. Finally, at number 1, we have Whitney Houston, whose legendary voice and unparalleled influence not only defined an era, but also broke down countless barriers for LGBTQ+ artists in the music industry. Whitney Houston is one of the biggest names in music history, but behind her success was a hidden love story. For years, rumors swirled about her close relationship with her childhood friend and assistant, Robin Crawford. Many believed that Houston was bisexual and that her relationship with Crawford was more than just friendship. Her ex-husband, Bobby Brown, later confirmed this in his book, claiming that Houston's family forced her to suppress her true self. Robin Crawford eventually revealed in her 2019 memoir, A Song for You, My Life with Whitney Houston, that they indeed had a romantic relationship. Unfortunately, Houston's life ended in tragedy, and many believe that her struggles with addiction were partly tied to her inability to live openly. Her deep love for Robin Crawford was an open secret, yet pressure from her family and the industry forced her to hide it. Some believe this inner conflict played a role in her struggles with addiction. Would Houston's life have been different if she had been free to love openly? The world may never know, but her story remains a heartbreaking reminder of the cost of hiding who you are.
Let's talk about that. And were you saddened when she had delivered that news to you?
No, I wasn't sad about it. I mean, we always knew. I mean, this was the 80s, and you either were this or that. Neither one of us spoke in terms of labels. We felt a friendship, a deep, connected friendship, which was important to her on the journey she was going. I remember her telling her father that it was important for me to be with her now, so when she got where she was going, she knew that I was there for her. And
And there you have it, 30 music legends who surprised us with their hidden truths. Some of these stories might shock you, but they remind us that music and identity go hand in hand. It's amazing to see how these artists broke barriers, even when they kept their personal lives private. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Let us know in the comments which story surprised you the most. See you in the next one.